Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to bring you another Sunday school video for this Sunday morning. I hope you've all had a wonderful week and are ready for this week's story. Now, this week's story carries on from 2 weeks ago because last week, remember, we had a break, didn't we? We had Pentecost Sunday. But this week, we're back in Acts. So last time in Acts, we were in Antioch with Paul and Barnabas, and they were preaching about Jesus. Some people believed and some people didn't. Now they've gone to Iconium. This place here, we're traveling to 3 places today. And the first one is Iconium. And in Iconium, there was a synagogue. And Paul and Barnabas went to the synagogue to tell people about Jesus, to teach the people about Jesus. So here's Paul and here's Barnabas. And in the synagogue, there were many people listening to Paul preaching and teaching. And some believed in what Paul was saying, but others didn't like what he was saying at all and made trouble for him and told the Gentiles really bad things about him, so that they were really angry and wanted to get rid of him. Paul and Barnabas had to flee away from Iconium. They had to run away because they heard that people wanted to stone them and get rid of them. So they fled and they ran away to a place called Lystra. So they went to Lystra. Which is here on the map. So Iconium to Lystra. Now, whilst they were in Lystra, they met a man. Now this man was at the side of the road. And he had poorly legs. He couldn't use his legs. He was lame. And he had been lame since birth. He couldn't use his legs at all. And Paul was preaching to lots of people in Lystra. And he looked over and he saw that this man was listening to him and believed everything he was saying. Paul saw that this man believed that with God's power he could be healed. Paul said to the man, "Stand up on your feet." And the man stood up on his feet and started walking around. Wow, amazing. And all the crowd that were watching were amazed when they saw this. And they were so amazed and so excited that they said, "The gods have come down to us in human form. We must bring them lots of gifts." Paul and Barnabas heard this. The people called Paul Zeus and Barnabas Hermes, who were both false Greek gods. And when Paul and Barnabas heard about this, they were very upset and very sad about this, because they weren't gods at all, and it meant people weren't looking to the one true God. So Paul came and said, we are not gods. Paul said, "I'm here to tell you about the one true God, the one true God who made the whole of creation. We are human, just like you. But the one true God made all of creation, made the land and the sky. And he is amazing. He has shown you that he is real, because he has shown you kindness by giving you rain so that your crops grow, and making your crops grow and grow and grow so that you have lots of food. God does that for you." But the crowd still wanted to worship them and give Paul and Barnabas lots of gifts. However, there were some other Jews in Lystra who didn't like what Paul was saying. There's always some that agree and believe in Paul and some that don't. And these were so angry at what Paul was saying, they started to throw stones at him. They threw stones at him and dragged him out of the city and left him for dead. But Paul, once he was outside the city, got up and walked back in. Amazing! Wow, God's power meant that he got up and he was unharmed, and he walked back into the city. Isn't that amazing that he still wanted to go back into the city and tell them about Jesus? And later on, Paul and Barnabas travelled off to a place called Derbe. And Derbe is the third place where we end today's journey. So we started in Iconium, went to Lystra and Derbe. Now, wasn't that amazing what Paul was doing? Kept telling people about Jesus. He carried on even when people wanted to kill him. That is amazing. Amazing power given by God, that he wanted to do that. Whilst Paul was preaching to the people at Lystra, he told them to turn away from false gods, turn away from these gods of stone, man-made gods of stone and metal, and to turn to the one true God who had made creation. God should be first in our lives. Now, we can sometimes put things in front of God, can't we? We can sometimes make idols, putting things before God, making things more important than our time with God. Some of these things might be friends or toys or games or money or things we own or do. And we make them more important than God sometimes, don't we? We would rather play with our toys and games than talk to God and read the Bible. But we should always put God first. Toys, friends, games and money are really good things, but they should never be put before God. God is number one. Now, the other amazing thing was that Paul was still willing to tell people about Jesus, even though people were threatening him and didn't like him. Some people were believing, weren't they? And that's because God's good message cannot be stopped. But some people were threatening him. But Paul wasn't worried because he knew God is the one true God and had a plan. And he trusted in God. And we shouldn't be worried either. If people don't like us for being friends with Jesus like Paul and Barnabas were, we can remember that God is the one true God. He is number one, and he will help us in all things if we are his friend. And that's amazing, isn't it? So we don't need to be worried about that. We can remember Paul and Barnabas and how they trusted in God. That's amazing, isn't it? Well, let me talk to God now and thank him for what we've heard about today. Dear God, thank you so much that you are the one true God. You made us and everything around us. Help us to not be worried when people get at us for being friends with you, when people don't like us for being friends with you. Help us to trust you and still tell people about Jesus. Thank you for being the one true God. Help us to always put you first. Amen. Well, I hope you have a really good rest of your Sunday. This is the craft for today. These are the sizes that they print out at, and the sizes of the holes. They fit my fingers, so if you want to fit smaller fingers, you might want to make the hole smaller first, just to check the sizing. But I hope you have a lovely Sunday. Bye.